Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Austin, and I graduated from the Smith School about 4 years ago, which to me seems like an eternity, but in the scheme of things, it's actually pretty recent. I think I was invited to speak today because I have a very unconventional story. I have a very weird career path, and I'm really proud to say that I had this, but it was totally intentional and something that I can call my own. And if the Smith School never invites me back to speak, that's totally fine, because honestly, you deserve to know that it's okay to have an unconventional career path. You can follow your intuition. You can make mistakes, fail, try again, fail harder, and it's gonna be okay. So my story starts at expectations. When I was at the University of Maryland, I was flying high. In May 2014, right before I graduated, I was looking back on my career. I started 2 clubs, had great grades, scholarships, awards. I felt really great about myself. And the kicker was I actually gave the commencement speech at my graduation. Wait till the rest of the speech. And I also got an amazing job at this nonprofit consulting company in San Francisco. It was the best nonprofit strategy consulting firm in the entire country. I was flying high. So it was a real big surprise to me when I failed so incredibly hard at that first job. I hated it. I wasn't really enjoying myself. I was homesick. I had anxiety and depression, and I'll tell you now that I had to go see a therapist once a week just because I was so low in my career. There's a really good saying that my improv teacher says is when you are facing your demons and your fears, invite your fears and your demons to tea. Sit down with you and ask, what's going on? So when I invited my fears and demons to tea, I thought about 2.5 years before this job, I had another internship at a consulting company, very similar to what I had after school. I also hated that job. But the thing was, why didn't I learn from my mistakes? Why was I choosing this job that I thought was super exciting when I had all these data points? And I really asked myself, it was because I had expectations of myself based on what other people thought I should be doing. I was part of Net Impact, I had a finance degree, I was doing consulting, and this is what I thought I should be doing. It wasn't based on what I wanted. So I did something very different. I decided to do something completely purposely wrong. I quit my job, sold everything I had a one-way ticket to Europe, and had the best year of my entire life. I took pictures, went to Prague, had Christmas in Germany with my cousins. I went to Portugal, and I even went to Brazil. For New Year's, I was standing on the Copacabana beach, shaved my head, and was dancing there. I was in Salvador during Carnival, meeting amazing people living in that country, and connecting with a deep urge that I've always had to understand all the flavors and the dynamism of the world and what makes people people beyond the bubbles that we all live in. The best part of this trip was when I went to Korea. I hadn't seen my family in 10 years and reconnected with people that I hadn't seen in such a long time, and more importantly, I connected with myself. I realized that my identity was really shattered in some ways. I didn't know that I had a shame of not really considering myself fully Korean, but also not really being considered fully American. So a lot of self-healing, a lot of self-identity was happening there. How I knew this trip was completely different, how I knew I completely changed was when I was in Thailand. My last day traveling before I came back to the States, I was at a music bar and there's a local band playing, and this MC raised his hand and said to the audience, who in the audience has a song in their soul that they want to sing? I would have never done this before, but I raised my hand and said, I want to sing Ain't No Sunshine. And I went up there, and really I only knew half the lyrics. I went up there and sang a 4-minute song somehow. The best thing about this trip for me was not just seeing all these amazing countries and taking photos. It was about breaking myself out of this path that I thought that I needed to be on. For me, it was about not having these expectations and this ego about what a right career path was supposed to be for me. I could start fresh, a completely blank slate, and redefine myself. So for me, I decided to make my life into a huge experiment. I had data points that I had before, but I wanted more. So my experiments I had up to this point was I had management consulting experience, I was traveling the world, and I loved that consulting was a lot about big picture problem solving, working with clients. I really did enjoy that. And the traveling for me was about having freedom, about being really connected to humanity. And I had 2 more experiments after that. I worked at a startup in Silicon Valley, like any cool person in the Smith School wants to do. Had really cool experiences innovating in technology. And when that went under, I now work at EAB, where I'm working with universities on really big people problems and technology problems. And the thing that I've learned I love about it the most is that it's a problem of people. People don't like change. People don't like technologies. Universities are intensely complex social architectures, and that's what I love about the job. But I also want to emphasize the pain that came for that. I went traveling because I hated the management consulting jobs I had, because they were too traditional, too baked in hierarchy. I loved traveling, but I didn't feel productive. Startups, the thing that I hated about the startups that I was at in particular was that there wasn't a really good management team, and there wasn't an emphasis on the employees. It was all about the business. And EAB, you can close your ears now, I think the industry is a little bit too slow. I think it's slow to change. And I think the problems of today are people problems. So I want to layer on a couple more other experiments I had. These aren't jobs, but they're more about my personal experiments. I've been adding on design thinking projects. I've been taking improv classes. I've been doing a blog project about relationships. And for me, I can look back and say, I have 4 years of lots of data. It's not one job. In the past 4 years, I've had 3 jobs, and one of those 4 years, I was traveling the world. So do the math on that. This is the completely wrong way that the Smith School tells us to do it, but I'm so happy I did it because I know so much about myself now. I know what I hate, I know what I love, I know who I am, and that's the part that I loved about this journey, that it was intensely and uniquely my own. My inflection point is the connection that I made across all of these experiences, and the theme is connection. My problem, my pain that I want to sustain in my life is the pain of people. I want to work on people problems. I believe the biggest barrier to innovation, whether it's social or whatever, is people problems. When organizations, teams, and departments don't work well together, innovation cannot happen. You cannot innovate in silos. For me, this is my working statement right now, mission statement. I catalyze understanding between teams and people to unleash innovation, creativity, and kindness. This is what I want to do. I want to work in the worlds of organizational psychology, innovation, and technology. That's my ongoing hypothesis. I'm not sure if the experiment is going to work, but I feel like I'm getting closer to the real answer. So my hope for you all is that you saw my crazy experiences and you decide to detach yourself from the ego of having a perfect career. And I hope that you'll take experiments on your own life and see it as just data. When you have a bad check-in with your manager, when you have a business that fails, it's just data. You are a product in the market, and I encourage you to fail fast, fail quickly, fail often. It's your 20s or your 30s or however old you are. Innovate quickly and get to the answer as quickly as possible. And the last thing I want to say is this. Please trust in your friends, in your families that are closest to you to have your back if and when you fail. If you have a business and it goes under, your friends are going to support you. And as much as you think they're going to think you're an idiot or stupid, they're not going to say that. They're going to think you're cool, and they're going to respect you so much because you took that unconventional decision, because you made a choice that was uniquely your own, that was intentional and uniquely just about you. Thank you.